Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond. Broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off.
So when I was working on Selena, the series for Netflix, to play the role of Abraham Quintanilla, I put on a specific amount of weight, which I was fine doing, but also realizing it could be difficult to get that weight off. I got back into my physical regimen with James Leha, but I was still having trouble with just those last amounts. And that's when I got to meet Arturo from Laredo Medical Weight Loss Clinic. And just the products that he gave me kind of put me over the edge. I feel great about myself.
We're back answering Gloves Off, and today we have two great guests from a group here in Laredo called Parents United. We got Mr. Vazquez and Mr. Ovando, and we're going to touch base on what happened, why, how did you guys come up with Parents United, what happened, I look at Parents United and I look at it as a watchdog group and at the same time an activist group. You all tell me how did you all start?
We started back in about, give or take, 2012, when my kids started having problems at the school district. And at that time I realized that the school district had a lot of problems and they were deeper than just the school as an organization. And I noticed that because a lot of parents started contacting us that they were having the same problems that we were having at that time. Mind you, this was in 2012. My kids went to the school district and they're now teenagers, and one of them is already in university. But my smallest one is in 5th grade right now, and I see the same problem still there. And I see that a lot of parents are, joining us and asking for guidance as to how you file a grievance, or how you navigate the policies of UISD, which are very, very favorable to whatever UISD wants to lead them to. And that's basically how we started in 2012.
When you look at stuff in there, you have a division. You have a watchdog group and you have an activist group. Usually a watchdog group is somebody that looks at things that are wrong, is looking for transparency, or always looking to see, what this policy is wrong, we need to change this, so on and so forth. And they kind of influence the elected officials or even candidates to do that. While an activist group kind of puts everything together in the sense of we're so passionate that sometimes the activist group puts their own people that are inside to run, to do some change. How would you consider yourself, an activist group or watchdog group?
I think it's a combination of both, because we did start as an activist group, but we saw that we weren't getting anywhere and we weren't advancing as we wanted to, or making the changes in the school district that we wanted to. Where I think we turned into more of a watchdog, if you want to say it that way. But we've been mostly an activist group.
Okay. And what are the major problems that you see that's going on? Is it administrative? Is it policies? What's going on?
It's corruption. And you and I have had private conversations about the corruption that goes on not only in the school district, but in the city as a whole. But me having kids in the school district, it really bothers me to see that all this corruption, how it affects our kids. Because right now, our children are having to go out to sell chocolates and raffles and this and that. Well, they're building a $50 million business, a $50 million food production business that we really don't need. They need to move it, but we don't need a $50 million building on, and you know more about that because Mr. Vazquez has been looking into that more than I have.
Yeah, I started looking more into corruption, thinking that doesn't make sense, and following the money. So, like I said, he started more with the kids, and I came in more with the money, where the money's going. And we keep going. We have been going a lot because now we have a lot of people that come looking for guidance. And we're not subject matter experts, but we try to give the guidance to those people.
Sure.
Especially with the kids.
What's going on with the kids? What do you see that's wrong with the kids? And then I can interject and
We see with the kids is we want the district to spend all the most money they can for the kids. You know, recently we had the problem with the buses. Recently we had problem with the kids with the school pipeline.
the school to prison pipeline?
The school, yeah, exactly. So in a lot of parents that approach you, they don't know how the system works.
Sure.
So the parent need to understand they have a lot of power. You know, there's a USD because the kids. Without the kids, we don't need the USD. And all these people that make a lot of this money have to look into more to the kids, how we help the kids. You know, right now the district work with like a big, like I said, like a big propaganda, like taking pictures. I can imagine how much money we pay just in the news.
Sure.
And I think it wastes a lot of money on other things, not for the kids.
You know, it's interesting that you talk about a school to prison pipeline. A lot of people do not understand what it is and when it came up of age and so on and so forth. But what happens with a lot of districts, it's a zero tolerance. It's a police department inside. It's things that could be more administrative are being punitive. So it's a policy thing that needs to change. And there's a lot of wrongs that are going on there with UISD. I've seen it. They want to blame everything on vape, which is not really the case, even though they have a lot of arrests in comparison to LISD. But there's other issues as well. There's the police seems to not know where their jurisdiction's at. You know, they're arresting kids for being walking off the bus stop down the block. And just like you guys are getting parents, I get parents too calling about everything else. And a kid going down the street, he got dropped off from the school bus, going down the street, gets in a fight with his bullies, and then they're trying to arrest him the following day. You know, so there's those issues. You know, there has to be some gap there. You know, this is your boundary and that's it. But coming back to the problems inside, what are the major problems that you see that's going on? Is it the board telling the administration, or is it the administration saying, you know what, we're going to do whatever you guys say anyway, we're going to do it our way? What's going on? Is it the board's administration, or is it vice versa?
I think we're going to go back to the corruption part,
Okay.
because I think that corruption has a lot to do with this, is where the board is telling the administration what to do, although they're not supposed to. They are telling the administration how they want things done and what they want done that favors whatever political agenda they have. And I'll give you that, I'm going back, I know we would have piece of you to that example of the food production place. That's $50 million. Think about it, $50 million. And let's go back to the case of Mr. Rodriguez. That was wrong, and I think that the whole community saw that as a wrong contract, that they were giving him such a contract, right? And this is a rhetorical question, you don't really need to answer this, but do you think that's really the only contract that was like that?
I don't know.
Think about it, you don't have to answer it, but think about it.
And I'll answer it this way. When you look at the contract was written, the contract was executed, the contract was voted at legally. So there's no, how can I put it, there's no boundaries of where it's at until we start looking at stuff like this person got arrested for a crime of moral turpitude. Moral turpitude. Well, what is moral turpitude? Your morals, my morals, your morals might differ. And so when we have stuff with moral turpitude, it has to be written, it has to be defined in the policy for it not to occur. For in other words, yeah, he was caught by thief. He was by thievery. He was caught because he was watching porno. He was caught because he was and everything has to be defined for it to be considered moral turpitude. So if it's not inside the definitions, then they can say, well, my morality and your morality are totally different things. Now, I think that's what happens with this contract. Now, we look at it as, boy, it was bad. it was not executed. Other people should have come up with more bids. Understand what I'm saying? Other people should have put more bids inside. Maybe we should have given out to more people. But when you have somebody that passes it as, you have lawyers that look at it. Now, if the lawyers knew it was wrong, then we have a problem with the lawyers inside. You know what I'm saying? Then we should go after the lawyer for that.
Let me ask you a question. Who makes those rules? Who makes those policies?
It's a board.
And they favor who?
Well, they should favor the citizens, and they should favor the district in general.
Exactly. And what did the people say? You know, because it was very outright when people started protesting that. And you know, on Facebook, or at least I saw that on social media, it just exploded. People weren't agreeing with that. They make their own policies, they make their own rules, and even those rules and those policies that they make
Are not being followed.
Exactly.
And
Because
that's-
they're not followed when it's not convenient for them. When they want to follow them, if you have a grievance to file and you have 10 days to file a grievance, if you're on the 11th day, they'll reject it. But if it's a grievance that they want to go through, they'll accept it. And that is not fair. And those policies and rules that they make, they're just to favor the board. But the people are not in agreement with those. A lot of people are not in agreement with those.
Maybe we have to go into, I don't know if, what a term limit on the board. Maybe we have to change the direction of where it's going, you know? Maybe instead of they can be voted in forever, they can just have 2 terms, se acabó el cuento, ¿me entiendes? Or 1, and that's the end of the story.
And it's unfortunate that now we can't even vote for the board because you saw what happened in Ovando. When Mr. Molina passed away, they just assigned the seat to Stopwatch. The people from Rio Bravo didn't get a right, they lost their right to even vote for someone. It's not that bad that we can't even vote for the person
Is there policy on that?
in favor of themselves.
That's what needs to be changed. And there has to be, we have to go back and to see what is the policy and how can we change the policy. Like in the city, if we have to change something, we can actually call a referendum and call it, vote it in and pass it through. If we get votes, pasa, eso no pasa, no pasa. Is there a procedure like that that can happen to the school district or no?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
See, that's where we're stuck. That's a conundrum that we have to be in, is we have to realize that we have to be able to change that. And if it has to be changed legislatively, then we have to protest legislatively. What I see here, when and I know where you're getting at, because it's a lot of people call the whole thing, and I saw everybody just boom. You're like, was it voted correctly? Was it not voted correctly? Was it done this? Maybe morally we might not say what it is, but we have to stipulate those morals. Maybe that's something that we have to start looking at and start changing those administrative policies.
Do you think they should tell people if it's a board member and wants a contract?
I think it should be open to everybody.
Yeah, but they should tell the people, the taxpayer.
If it's open, I think we have to put a limit. If it's, for example, like in the city, I think it's over 100,000. It has to go out. Everybody wants to decide, right? There's a gap, and I think we have to end up with a gap over here. We have to find out that, for example, I'm just saying this. I don't know if it's there or not. The superintendent, you have $75,000 that you can give a contract to, or the board, you have $75,000 you can give a contract to. Beyond a certain limit, it has to go to a vote. It has to go to a vote of the people. Enough's enough. And if it has to change, I don't know if other school districts are doing it. I don't know if it's legislatively you can do it, but I think you can in the city. And you can put those gaps inside and those boundaries. What we can vote for, what we cannot vote for. Like what they wanted to pass the civic center, make it downtown, and all that other stuff, and it was voted not to. We should have the same ability to do it at the school district. Understand what I'm saying?
I agree with you. I completely agree with you. However, you know, I believe in the power of the board. I believe that they're there to represent us.
Sure.
But unfortunately now they're not representing us. Like I told you, there's even a board member that wasn't even voted in for it. So we're not being even represented. And I think that there's laws and rules that it should be following that are not followed. And if we would follow those, because those laws and rules are there for a reason and they're pretty good, but they're not followed. And let me give you an example. Anytime that we ask for an open records request, whatever information it is, it could be the most simplest information. It goes directly to the attorneys. They charge $500 to write a letter to Ken Paxton to challenge that information. And sometimes it's real basic information that if I ask for the salary, for example, of ex-employee, they'll challenge that, and then I'll ask for salary for ex-employee number 2, they'll challenge that too, even though they were already denied the first one, they'll challenge that again, and they're just making money off of that. You see, but there's nobody there they're not representing our interests anymore. They're not there to represent the kids. They're not there to represent us.
I agree with you.
They're representing their own interests.
I agree with you that they're not there to represent the kids. We have some good people on the board, but between the board and administration, somewhere along there, the lack of interest to represent the kids has diminished. Even though they claim and they work with the flag and they wave all these flags and the kids do this, the kids do that, it's been lost just because of the way they treat them. I believe in security. I believe in doing right. I believe that if there is an issue with crime, that you should be punished if it is. But there's also, I believe in the corruption. I mean, we live in Laredo. I mean, we see police corruption everywhere. We just had voter fraud by the police, and everybody's kind of like nonchalantly think it's okay, and it's not. But so we see that same corruption infiltrating into the micro elements, the micro departments, and that's sad. I'm afraid that the kids are facing them. We're lucky that we have not had a police officer here kill a kid. We're lucky, and I pray to God every day that doesn't happen, because they're bad, and it's gonna snap. And I think the people here are now waking up to that there's a problem, but there's so many different problems that which one do you look at? And you're looking at everything together, and people are saying, "Chihuahua, se están cansando."
In my opinion, we should be attacking the corruption first and foremost.
Okay.
Because once we attack that, and we have transparency, and we have access to the boards, and we can vote for our board members, I think there's going to be change there, where we can actually have representation and say someone who's actually interested in our children, not in their personal gain, because that is what is happening right now.
I was talking to several other attorneys, and many attorneys feel and they also say that the attorneys that we pay for the board actually have to represent the taxpayers. And if that is the case, and if they're not doing what they're doing, you got 50, 100 people that don't think that way. Those 50, 100 people should be sending letters to the bar and let the bar deal with it. If you're not representing the way you're supposed to be representing, they're going to say, "Oh, we represent the board. Oh, we represent this person inside the administration. No, we represent this." No, you represent those that are paying for that money, and that money is the taxpayer. And if you get a bunch of people that say, "You know what, this is wrong," and they send it forward, I bet you money that they're going to start doing the right thing.
I agree. But you know what? That is a responsibility of the board. They are the ones that are supposed to be watching all that. They are our representatives right there. They're not doing that. They're not doing their part. We know that for sure.
It's a check and balance. We elect them to do the best interest for us, but we also pay the salary of the lawyers to do the best interest of the taxpayers of the district. And if they're not doing the best interest, then we have to start looking to see how we can remedy that matter. And people say, "No, well, this and that, so on and so forth. Maybe the state should come in." Maybe to me, I had this conversation with the union, the guys from the union, and I said, I think all school districts should be mandated from the state. Period. I don't think we should have any elected officials. Period. I think it should be a pattern that everybody does the same thing over and over. And we should have. Understand what I'm saying?
Like here, we got LID and UAD, but we had two school districts in Laredo.
You know what I'm
We
saying?
shouldn't have one.
And it should be mandated by the state. You know, this is what happens. This is what happens. These are the policies that government. Oh, but you don't really want it to become a government of entity. Well, what is it right now? They're their own government. And they have their own government. They do their own thing. They do whatever they want. They arrest you. They don't arrest me. They arrest you again, and they do whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? And when they violate the Constitution. They violate the rights of our kids, the civil rights, back and forth. They do it over and over, and they think they're doing something great. It's like, when is this going to stop?
You know, this reminds me of something that the power to tax is the power to destroy. And one of the entities that we pay the most taxes to is the school district.
Of course.
If you open up your account when you're paying your taxes, that's one of the entities that we pay the most taxes to. And it is the one that we get the least from right now. We can't even get a bus, for God's sake. You know, we can't even get a bus. Think about that. And it's one of the entities that we pay the most taxes to because their administration is top heavy. They get paid thousands of dollars, but we can be paying teachers much better than that. I prefer to have 2 teachers in my child's classroom than have 5 administrators sitting over there doing nothing.
To me, I'd rather pay our teachers that more and have the administrators pay less. There has to be a gap, you know, of what they have from there. Yeah, you've gotten that far. Yeah, there should be a paid increase. If you're actually producing, let me tell you what producing is. If like here, you're sitting down here. If my guys go out there and he gets into an entanglement in the street and he gets his butt whipped, they're going to say, Paul Buiton doesn't know how to teach. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My guys capable of taking care of themselves? Yeah, they are. They're very capable of taking care of themselves. Now, when we look at the school district, let's go back 10 years. Okay, 2013. Let's look at the class that graduated. How many, granted, we know that not everybody's going to be lawyers, not everybody's going to be astronauts, not everybody's going to be this. Well, how many doctors do we get? How many nurses do we get? How many professionals do we get? How many entrepreneurs do we get? What do we build? How many prisoners do we have? How many are in the military? How many are unemployed? Understand what I'm saying? Where's that? Then you're telling me if you're actually doing your job. Because to me, I don't think so. We live in Laredo's poverty. We live in the majority of people here live in the poverty level. Unless you work for the federal government, unless you work for the state, unless you work for the municipality or a municipality like the UISD, you're living in poverty. More likely. Okay?
Yeah, no, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So are we really producing citizens that we're supposed to? Half the kids can't read. Half of them can't understand or comprehend a contract. So how can we put them out there? We're putting them out in the workforce and these guys get lost with a compass. You know what I'm saying?
I know that the school district has a very important job, which is our children, and educate them in a certain way because we as parents have a responsibility to educate them. But the school district does have a responsibility. But I agree with you. I don't think they're fulfilling it. And we go back to the same thing because of corruption. They're so worried about their own pockets that they're not investing in the right things. You know, there's a lot of really great teachers. I've spoken with some really, really good teachers, and they're retiring. They just don't want to do it anymore because of retaliation that's going to the school district, because of the way they're being treated, because of a lot of things, and they're just retiring. And we can't afford to lose these teachers. And much of it has to do with pay. Because if we paid them good, we wouldn't be having this loss of personnel.
You know, you said a word right now. It's called retaliation. I've heard it from people that I've interviewed. I've heard it from people that have come in to try to see what they can do. I've heard it from parents. I've heard it from students. I've heard it from teachers. I've heard it from workers of the UISD. They're afraid. And their retaliation on what? Against who? On who? What have they been threatened? And you saw a lady put it on Facebook that she was threatened. I go, hey, what's going on? I know we can't because a lot of it is hearsay. We're listening to somebody else's story. They're going to change the story. What are the major? Say examples of the retaliation.
Let me give you a real clear example. like you said, it's hearsay when you're saying because of other people that I've spoken directly to. But let me give you my personal example.
Sure.
I'm not an employee of UISD, yet they bothered to send a letter to my place of employment complaining about my questioning the integrity and the corruption that's going in UISD.
Who sent the letter?
The attorney from UISD School District. Back then it was Mr. Juan Cruz. It wasn't the attorneys that are here right now. But he sent a letter complaining about me. I had done nothing wrong, except I called out Mr. Santos on that time, the superintendent, and he was out there. He was irate because I questioned him. Nobody had ever had the audacity to ask him a question, and I questioned him outright. And he got so bothered that he couldn't do anything to me because I don't work for the school district. My wife doesn't work for the school district. So at that time, the only thing he could do was send a letter to my place of employment. And that's retaliation because I had done nothing wrong except go to the board and question him. And the same thing happened to Mr. Vazquez. The exact same thing happened to him. So even if you're not an employee of the school district, they'll find a way to get to your employer and say, hey, you know what, this person's a problem to us. And you know what? Just because we're questioning, not because we're accusing them, not because we're threatening or saying something wrong, the mere questioning is what bothers them, and that's what we've been doing a lot of it. And yes, we've been receiving flack because of that. I received emails where they told me, hey, you better stop it, this and that, and I just ignored it because if it doesn't have a name attached to it, there's nothing you really can do about it. But it's wrong, that's the way they retaliate to you.
Yeah,
imagine if you're a teacher in the school district. Imagine if you were an employee of the school district, if you even have the iota to question.
I've had parents come to me, they tell me some stories that are out there, and I've talked to the board about them, and some of them are very disgusting issues that are going and occurrences that are happening, quasi-criminal and criminal issues that are happening on campuses, and they're afraid. They're afraid of their children. They're afraid that they're going to be, they're all of a sudden the police is going to go plant something in there. Do I believe that this is a type of police? Yeah, I believe. In my opinion, I believe that that's a type of this police department is capable of doing something.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
I believe this is they're rogue individuals. Listen, we need security. We need police and we need presence of security inside. I agree fundamentally with that. But I think we have to start cleaning up the department that we have and get rid of the bad cops and put in good peace officers. And nothing wrong with the good peace officers. We will protect you left and right.
I want to be clear with that is not everyone in the school district.
Sure.
There's these bad apples that yes, you have to. I believe that we have to get rid of them. And it's just these bad apples that that are causing all these problems. It's not the school district as a whole because we do have good employees in the school district, like I told you. And there's a lot of teachers that I wish would leave that wouldn't retire.
Absolutely.
But there are those bad apples that I think everybody knows that we need to get rid of them.
Listen, I hear this. The kids are bad. This is what I heard. The kids are bad. They come from single mom homes. They have deadbeat dads. While the person that's talking and saying this is profiling our kids, saying that if they're hanging around with 2 or 3 more, that's a gang, and they're going to write down their name in the list. And if that's a type of protocol and attitude that they have, then our kids are very much in trouble. We have followed the wrong path and we're heading into that school to prison pipeline district. And we did that study. I did that study. Send it to you all for seeing. It's public. If anybody wants it, you can email me. I'll email it to you. We have to change the policies for the betterment of our children. We have some, like you said, we have some great teachers. We have some great professionals that are in there. Let's protect them, but let's protect our kids from them. That's what I think. Yes. And we have some good guys on the board that really have to start focusing on to what they were elected for. And it's for the kids. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And how were you threatened? Yeah, how were you threatened? How did they threaten?
Well, we went to a board meeting together and we spoke about something in the district. And the next couple of days, I got a letter in my work.
Also,
they called me in, they told me this one about the letter, and but that was a video. What they say I did, the video didn't show that. so they didn't do it with the district. So for my people, my supervisor, they're not thinking like, okay, what's going on in the district? He's gonna let us say you did this, but when we see the video, it's not there.
No, that they lie, that they change, that they do their stories.
Yeah, they change the stories.
That's a given. And it's sad because our kids are the ones that are suffering at the end.
So
And
they do this to a grown man, an adult, a taxpayer. What do you think they will do? They'll reach which will pay?
they'll drop a vape pen, they'll put you into there, arrest you, and they'll in a heartbeat. These people will do it in a heartbeat.
And I think that's important. That's why it's very important that
In a heartbeat.
parents should know their rights. So parents have a power. We have a power to make these changes. We as parents and taxpayers have a power to make these changes. And we need to know our rights. And one of our most important rights is to go vote and make these changes.
So going back about retaliation, the parents we spoke on Comerera, or by the bus, they say now that the bus is being late almost every day. They think that's retaliation because they spoke of their mind.
That whole bus issue, to me, is so wrong in so many ways because they're willing to make a $50 million food production center. Think about that, $50 million in a flood zone. They're willing to do a building in a flood zone, but we can't have a bus. Think about that.
Yeah, but let me put it to you this way: half of Laredo is built on a flood zone. And that's just part of the way Laredo was back then. They started building on flood zone because it was so-and-so's land, and we're going to build it. We're going to do this. So if you look at McPherson all the way down to all that's flood zone. You get a nice torrential rain, so you keep on going. Get all that's going to be underneath water. It already is underwater. So it was. It's funny because there's a lot of the land that is here was built on a flood zone, and it was the city planning and zoning knew about it, and they still allowed it.
And it's not right.
And no, it's not right.
And that doesn't mean that we should continue doing it.
You know what I'm saying?
Not because they did it in the past. So we should be doing
what gets me is a food processing center. What are they going to be processing? Are they going to be butchery, making cattle? What are they doing?
I don't know, but I can tell you right now, since the beginning of the school year, since my kids have been small and going to school, they have never eaten the school food. They have never, and this is not to blame on the people of the food production center, because they do what they're told.
What are they? Food production? Are they getting the food from somewhere else and they're cooking it there and taking it to the cafeterias?
Yes,
is that what they do?
Yeah.
Do they cook it someplace and then it goes out to the cafeterias?
Yeah, supposedly that's what they do.
So the cafeterias don't have kitchens?
I guess.
They have kitchens.
No, they have kitchens,
They have
but they're not working. That's my understanding.
They warm up the food over there. This is like a thing they get it and they ship it out.
That makes no sense. I know it makes no sense. But I know that my kids, since they were small, they have never eaten food at the school because it's so bad. It's just really, really bad food. I mean, you just have to send. I don't know how many parents send their kids, but I know we send our kids with their lunch because they just want that food.
It's all cafeteria food's always been pretty bad. And ever since I was a kid.
But did they pay $50 million for the building?
I don't think they. No, you used to cook. That's what I'm saying. They had kitchens there. So what they're not. So they're not using the kitchen that they have inside. They're using it somewhere else. I mean, that's what's getting me now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you're building it. You're cooking somewhere else. How about the lag face and the food contamination and all kinds of good stuff that can happen on trucks?
You know, transportation of it.
Yeah, there's just a lot of wrongs with it.
Yeah, but somebody's going to benefit from that.
And the reason I can say about that, I'm an executive chef by trade, so I can talk about food for that if I want to. And I'm not there's a lot of, imagine it.
But somebody's benefiting from that. If you follow the money, it'll tell you, okay, we know who's benefiting from that. So we're going back to the corruption thing again, and like I told you, you make circles around everything, and it'll take you back to corruption. And we, the parents, we have the power to change that, or I believe we can change that.
So we got the issues that I've been seeing and coming back. We have the issue of retaliation. We have the issue of corruption. We have the issue of the neglect with the kids' safety. What else is wrong that you all have seen? Because you all are the ones that are listening to parents when
Well,
they
I
come
think
in
it's,
there. Are parents just going out there and venting to you all, or are they actually coming up and saying, this is happening, I want you guys to help us to go forward, and we need change here, is this happening? What? ¿Entiendes qué te digo?
We do receive a lot of information not only from parents, but from people within the school district. They share that information privately with us. We try to investigate as much as we can, or ask open record on the information that we can. Most of it is usually challenged and goes up to contacts and then comes back, and then it's just a mess with that. But what we try to do is, since we're not expert managers on everything, we try to bring on board anybody who can help us with certain things, and then we try to communicate with the proper authorities and send that information that we have that we think is wrong and send it on to the proper authorities so they can further investigate. We try to collect as much information and bring up something that's good and good information that they can act upon.
And you all don't have any conflicts, there's no issues. I don't have anybody in my family, your family, you're not from here, you're not from here, that deals with that. None of them are employed with.
Oh yeah, my daughter just recently graduated from university and she's employed as a teacher at the school district.
Okay.
But back in 2012 when she was an elementary school student, this is when we started with this problem. So I have continued with this because I still have the little ones,
Absolutely.
Going back to retaliation, I think if people start speaking out, the people that work in the district, they see what's going on in the district. They see about all this contract, all this money. They start speaking out, they would make it very easy for us to help. But the first thing they tell us is, don't say I told you that, hey, don't drop my name. But we have to respect, the privacy because I know they're afraid, to lose their job because most of them, probably single moms, single parents, they cannot afford to lose their job because they're speaking up what's going on in the district. So little by little, we're getting a lot of information, and sometimes we don't have no time to process all of them. But we start connecting, all the dots.
See, that's what happens. It happens over here. I've had parents sitting down here and we're discussing the issues that are going on there, and with confidentiality, I keep their names reserved for that. But there's some scary stuff that's going on, and you try to voice it. Hey, this issue's here. Oh no, what are you talking about? And I'm like, so what I see happening in the district, I've seen happen with the city of Laredo for a very long time. For example, there's an issue, and I'm just going to pick a department of cutting trees in the city of Laredo, okay? And you say, you know what, we have an issue with this, you haven't passed by, done this, and you complain to the city councilman. The city councilman goes back, a month later, the same problem is still there. So this person goes to City Hall, starts complaining. They bring the director of that department in. What's going on? Oh, everything's fine, we already fixed it. And you leave with thinking that it's being fixed. 6 months later, the problem's still there. You go back there and you complain again. No, this person, and the administrator, the directors, will tell the city council and say, oh, don't worry about him. He's just a person that's troublesome, disgruntled, and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden, they label you as being disgruntled, so now everybody kind of just shuts their eye and say, that's not happening. And I think that's what's happening here. I think, like I said, the benefit of the doubt's there. And I know the board. I know personally and many of them for a very long time. They're not bad people. I just think that their ears are getting fooled by the people in the administration that is relaying stuff to them that it has never been taken care of.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with you on that. Sure. I believe they are that people, the moment that they neglect our kids, they start thinking about their own pockets.
Well, we're not attacking the board as the person.
Yeah.
We're attacking the position, not the person.
Sure.
I know they're pretty good people.
But to me, some policies and stuff has to be revamped.
They have control of those policies. They can make those changes if they wanted to. Yeah. Like they could have said, you know what, we're going to give the people their right to vote. They just took away the right to vote like that, like nothing.
You see, that's what comes back to with government. In the city of Laredo, you want to change a charter, you want to change something in the charter. Well, there's a charter review board, there's a this and that, but you go against the charter, you say, you know what, we want to change that, you make a referendum. It's voted. do we have that power, or we never looked into it? Do we have that power in the school district?
Not that I know of, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but it doesn't matter how many rules, policies, regulations. It doesn't matter what you have. If you're not following them, it doesn't matter. And the example you want to go to the city is, let me give you an example of a lady that ran for councilwoman, and she lost or she won, and then somebody challenged it, and the other person was by a judge found that that person was the actual winner, and she's still sitting there. How is that even possible? I mean, in what world is that even possible? There's laws, there's rules and regulations, but they just throw them out. They're not even following them, they don't care. The moment that they start ignoring those laws and rules and regulations, that's when we have such a big problem. That is the corruption that we're dealing with in the federal. And you know what? The federal authorities should step in, the rangers should step in. They have a duty to step in, and they have not. They have failed us in that respect.
And let me put it to you this way. And it brought out that case that you're bringing into about, went to court. It brought out that the police were the ones that were corrupt in the election.
The
police,
police, think about that. It's the police.
And that's corruption. That's police corruption. But then when you tell them, no, it's not. No, that's not police corruption. What is?
And you know what?
You know what I'm saying?
I have a lot of friends with the police department,
and
they're not all like that. They're not all like that. But we do need to get rid of those bad apples. Those that play that game, we need to get rid of them.
We have to protect the peace officers that are good.
Yes.
And we have to remove the bad apples. And we can't play musical chair with bad apples. What happens with bad apples? A while back, I was going to run for the board, and that was when John Bruce was there. John Bruce and I became very good friends after that. And we were dealing with, a lot of parents came, they were talking about police officers of UISD giving drugs to young girls for sexual favors. It didn't stay good with me. So all of a sudden those police officers weren't working there, but you see them pop up elsewhere. Working. And they're still working in the system. So when something like that happens, your license has to be taken away, period.
Yes.
You don't get hired by somebody else. Understand what I'm saying? Your license should be removed now, and that's it. And that's what's not happening. Somebody else hires him. He's a bad, and unfortunately, we do have a lot of great police officers out there, but it's the bad ones that make them look bad. In the UISD, you have some good ones, you have a lot of bad ones. And those bad ones, sorry, they have to go, but I actually feel for the safety of our kids with those individuals. And I am like, they're. I feel bad. I mean, God forbid me for passing judgment, but there's just something there that doesn't feel right. And I pray every day that nothing happens, because it's bad. But what would you suggest people, if people are coming and people are having problems, what do you suggest people to do? To contact you? How can they get in touch with you?
You have the Facebook page, and they can post anything they want us to know to do, or they just on the messenger, and we reply like in an hour or 2 hours, we get back to them and give them what we learned, we get some guidance.
We need police reform. We need a ban. There's a lot of social issues that are concerning. We have a lot of single parents out there, and it goes back into a lot of stuff. And a lot of parents that, the custodial parents in the state of Texas, almost 100% are women, custodial parents. Non-custodial parents, in the state of Texas, 92%, I believe, in the state of Texas are males, non-custodial parents at least. Then if you go into Webb County, it's 95.78%. So it's higher in the state, in Webb County, that are males. So in other words, they're getting divorced and you have a kid, more likely you're not going to get it here in in Laredo. They're going to vote against you. Things are changing. You also have a lot of fathers that try to be in and a lot of non-custodial parents, I'd say fathers and mothers that try to be inside the parent's life and the father and the child's life, and the other person alienates the child from them. You can't see him, you can't do this, but yet calls him a deadbeat father, this and that. And not only, and I hear that deadbeat father word being used freely from our police to our school district, from our principals to teachers to those counselors, and they all mention it like if it's, but they do not understand the situation, the problem, the gravity of it. And that issue, they shut out the father from the life that wants to be inside. All of a sudden now you have a kid that's believing that the father hates him. You have issues like that all over the place. And that's detrimental to kids as well, you know. And a lot of kids that we have, like we go back again with poverty, Laredo is a poverty-stricken area. A lot of kids do not have food. So the only food that they do have is the cafeteria food. Even though they don't like it, they're still going to have a meal there. And they have to have that meal. Sometimes they're in a bad mood for a lot of other stuff. A lot of kids don't have jackets. A lot of school kids don't have clothes. So when they go into school, they're getting made fun of by everybody. That they hear this all over the place. So now you have a problem. So if that kid acts up, they're thrown to alternative school, or they're giving a ticket, or they're getting arrested for disturbing the peace. That's wrong. And that's happening more and more and more and more. And when you talk to the board and you talk to the principals, they're like nonchalantly, well, you know, they messed up, they have to pay for it. And I'm against that. And right now, I'm fighting to change certain things, to change those issues with the school to prison pipeline that has affected our community. And we'll get things done in another way. But we have to change policy, we have to change legislation. And I think that's where it has to come from. And then we need security, but I think we cannot have a police department that's roguely doing anything they want on the street. You know, we got kids that get in a fight in the mall, the next day getting arrested over here because they went to the same school. Sorry, doesn't happen. You know, there's laws. There's laws for self-defense. If somebody gets hit, you and I are walking down the street, somebody hits you, and we get in, you defend yourself, they're gonna arrest you? No, that's self-defense. You might not beat the ride, because most police officers taught that way, take both people inside and you fight it out, but still self-defense. Over here, they arrest both of you. You go to juvenile, you go to Step Academy. You cannot even defend yourself because you were, and that's your legal right, that's your God-given right. So they go against the constitutional rights of the United States, they go against the Texas Constitution, and they do whatever they want. No, yeah, enough's enough. Let's start putting boundaries. So I think a lot of changes have to be made. And I'm glad that people, groups that are opening up the issues for others to start learning are needed. You know, we can't, and you know, that's needed. But more people have to be involved. I think a lot of people are afraid of what's going on there. I think those individuals that are being afraid, maybe the Texas Rangers should start interviewing them and start figuring out what's going on. I do believe that, because we do have a problem with this retaliation. We heard it again today. We heard it from the teachers union. We heard it from parents left and right. We hear it all the time. But I want to find out who's the ones that are threatening, you know? You know what I'm saying? You know, in Laredo we have a saying that's called asusta pendejos, and I think a lot of these guys are asusta pendejos. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They'll asusta the person that they think they can bully instead of the person that's going to turn around and say, what? All right, now what are you doing about it? You know what I'm saying?
But I think that as a society we started to evolve, and we know that threats are not right. You know, and I think kids are starting to learn that too, that you just can't go on the threat like that anymore. It's not not the way that society should be working. And I think that society has also been changing in the fact that I think that, our page has been growing exponentially, where a lot of people want to be involved. We don't have the time sometimes, to go all the way down over there to the meetings and be at the board meetings, but a lot of people are very, very involved. They ask what happened, who said what, and what did they say this, or what was I learned from this. There's a lot of people that are socially connected, and I think that's very important nowadays, that there's a lot of people that are really socially connected, and that's going to bring a lot of changes.
And let me tell you all something out there. We think that sometimes by picking up the phone and cussing somebody out, or getting on the Facebook, that article this. No, you have to stand up and actually do something about it. And I'll bring this back to the great president that we had, and what he said, which was Kennedy, which he said, don't ask me what you can do, what your country can do for you. It's what you can do for your country. And I think that's what we have here in the community. It's what can you do for your community to better it. And I think everybody needs to start thinking that route. If you see a wrong, get together with it. Try to change the wrong. Try to change if there's issues with policies, let's change the policies. All of us in conjunction. But what I see is when you talk to some of the administration, they feel insulted. Well, what are you talking about? No, it's not you. It's just something in the policy that we need to understand that we have to change. And lawyers are lawyers, and a lot of lawyers here in Laredo are shysters. And, lawyers and rattlesnakes, they're about the same number. There's some good ones out there, but you're still a snake. And what happens is that lawyers here, there are some good ones. And we have to get those good ones to start protecting the rights of the people. And I understand, it costs money. I understand what happens here. But, there's also codes and conduct and stuff that lawyers have to take. They have to, they're in a different level. And I think when we start looking at those and start telling them, hey, you're out of bounds here, and reminding them what their code of conduct should be, I think that's where people are starting straightening up.
We asked one time to the board take the drug test, and only one came forward to the drug test.
Yeah, let's be honest, like it was Mr. Castillo. So
they should incorporate that into the code of conduct.
A lot of people just start working into HIPAA. There's an issue now that, and this is true, and something about school to prison pipeline. Let's say we're all kids and we go to juvenile. We committed something, all of a sudden now we go to college. And we go to college, and all of a sudden now we're going to go to the university. It's going to pick us up because this university, you got your grades, you're going to go to university. So they ask for your transcripts. Your record's sealed because you're now an adult, right? But when they ask the transcript, they send the transcript, and they say you were arrested, you went to juvenile, you were placed in, so your record's not sealed on the educational side. We have to start sealing our side. That's the problem with school to prison pipeline. So now all of a sudden, now you have a kid now that got his GI Bill, now going to go work for this company, and the company says, well, let's find out how you were in high school. Oh, he used to hang around with gangs. We saw him with gangs and all these counselors putting those things. Why? Because you're walking with 2 or 3 people. Now you're a gang member. Understand what I'm saying? So the injustice is disgusting of what they're doing to our kids, and they pat themselves on the back. They're like, oh man, we're doing something great. And I'm sorry, man, but you're destroying kids left and right, and then they say, no, it's the parents' fault. The parents are bad. The kids are bad. Well, how about bad principals? How about bad teachers? How about bad school cops? How about bad administrators? They can't be bad. Understand what I'm saying? You're blaming our kids being bad. How about you guys? Every time I point a finger, there's 3 fingers pointing back at me. So that's what's happening. Everybody's blaming the parents, blaming the kids, blaming everybody else, but they're with you 7 hours a day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think we have lost it. I think the perception of that is, if it was a restaurant, nobody will eat. And do I eat? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you know, because why? You know, they're going to get ripped off their food. They're going to be getting a little sandwiches big. People are going to be paying $50, $60 for what? We look at it that way. You know what I'm saying? And the attitude.
And even the district, when they do the activity, they from the food production center, they buy out.
I don't know if they're allocated that though. You know.
Even if they're
They
allocated.
spend a lot of money.
Yeah,
No, I'm not talking about buying dinner for a meeting or what have you. I'm talking about we're gonna have a meeting. This food from the food production center is gonna be brought in for you guys to eat as well. I don't think that's allocated inside the thing. ¿Me entiendo que te digo? Yeah, you never, you know what I mean?
Yeah, what I see wrong is that, for example, if there's a board meeting, each board member will ask, well, I want something from Rudy's, and I want something from Taco Palenque, and the other one wants something from a different place. And they bring food that's separate from each wherever they want, they take it to them, exclusively to them. They should be eating the same food from the food production.
If it's allocated, and I would allocate the food.
Well, whatever they're
You know what I'm saying?
Whatever
Food.
they're buying from whatever place,
Macaroni, cheese, and corn
money being
dogs.
spent from our taxes anyway. So even if it's not allocated, they can get that from the food production.
I know, I get where you're coming from, but I think we have to stipulate something. Okay, we're gonna have a meeting here. The food production is gonna bring dinner here for you.
Yeah.
It's allocated. It's already set. It's already in the calendar. I believe that.
Let them eat that rubber sandwich, see how they like
You
it.
know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I don't know, but it's gonna be a good one. Anything else you guys wanna?
So yeah, I want to say something that you see us as Parents United. There's about like 20, 25 people behind us that actually help us a lot. You know, it's not just us. We just kind of the face of it, but it's a lot of people that help us a lot. And I'm very careful that people come to help us out. And
We're thankful about it, you know, and it's the way it should be. An organization has to grow within that, and people need to start working towards that. And I don't know, there has to be some type of perimeter to go in and kind of check. I would check policies and legislation and see if it's already there, because things can't continue going the way it's going.
Yeah.
It's stuck in mud and it's not going anywhere. And it's like, you know, and we got issues coming up. Did they ever find out anything about the superintendent? Whatever happened, what occurred? Or is it still in limbo?
This is week what?
7.
Imagine how much money they're spending with the attorneys on that one, because it's outside attorneys. We're going to ask for an open records on how much they spent on that, because it's an obscene amount of money. And I don't know I have no idea what they're doing. I have no clue what it is they're doing. My understanding was that the contract or the lawsuit was kicked out the same day that it was taken into downtown. That same day it was kicked out. That's what I understand. That's what the law was told. So if they didn't even take it in court, I don't know whose mind is it right to get some attorneys to come and investigate.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff. This is mine. Yeah. There you go. He's gonna run for board. But I think we have to put that together. And I'm gonna put it on board and Chappy Boy. Do a better job.
we need people to run for the board. We need to change the board. We need people to go get more involved, go to the board meetings. It's just a workshop meeting. We have one coming up this Tuesday. So they can at least go once and see how the board works. When you pay a lot of money, you should see how they present, what they talk about, and you might come out thinking there's something different.
Absolutely. You know, folks, I think number one, I think we have to start with a term limit on the board. See how we can do that, how we can push that forward. That's the way I'm looking at it. And if not, bring in the state. Let the state control everything. Yeah, I have no quarrel about the state controlling that education and doing it that route. Okay? Good, fine. I'd rather have the state come in and say, okay, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do, this is what needs to be done. Okay, do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If it's going on elsewhere, do it.
The challenge to that, and I'm not saying I agree with that, in a democratic institution or the way it's supposed to work is that the board members represent the vote of the people. They're supposed to be representing what we want. They're not doing that. For whatever reason, they're not doing that. But if it goes to the state, we can't vote somebody out and say, hey, you know what? We don't like these policies that you're doing and we want you out. We can't vote you out. Here, we're supposed to be able to vote them out. But they've taken that power away from us. Because like I said, in Rio Bravo, they just assigned somebody just like that. They took away the right for us to even vote now.
And you know, he's a nice guy.
Well, that's it's not that again. It's like
he's a nice guy, and he's trying to mean well. And he when I've talked to him, he's very concerned about what's going on. And you're like,
but you're a nice guy. And if you,
I'm an asshole.
You're a nice guy, and I like you. But if you were assigned to that position just like that, without anybody having the right to vote, that'd be wrong. You know, whether you like the person or not, that was wrong. You know.
But you know what we need to do is, and I see your point where we didn't have an election. This happened during this time frame. Maybe it should have gone vacant. I don't know. Maybe we should have had a special election and spend that much money again.
They were going to have
I don't know.
Another taxing entity was going to have also an election. I think they did have an election, and they offered to share the cost again. So it wasn't like it was going to be that expensive for the school districts for an election. We're spending $50 million on a building we don't need. Like they could have spent $5,000 on an election.
And also, I think it was more for the power of the board to get the 4 votes, 5 votes against 2, so they can run the agenda. That's the way I see it. They didn't really like with intention, like
it was
to
a
save
political
money.
move.
It was more like
It was a political move.
You know, we all need to see that in that sense, and I might have to disagree with that, but I don't. If they were going to place somebody else in, maybe, but I think he's no longer going to run anymore, and it's a shame because I think he was doing a good job. You know, now he's not going to run. Now we don't know who's going to go in. Now
That's what you were talking about. It's important that people sign up for that. That people know that they can sign up and run for that position. It doesn't pay. It doesn't pay a cent. But you can run for those positions and actually make a change. You can make a change. So, whoever's listening to your podcast, I hope they listen to this and they actually sign up and run for that position.
That's what we need. We need good people inside. I think we need caps, kind of like what they do to the aldermen in Chicago, in Cooks County. You have $60,000. That's the only thing you can use. That's all you can raise, and that's all you can use. I think we need caps throughout Laredo and throughout our school districts. Everywhere else, you have to have a cap, and that's it. That's all you can spend. $5,000, and that's it.
Think about it.
You know what I'm saying?
This is a position that pays nothing. It pays nothing.
nothing.
And there's candidates that are spending $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 on it.
For nothing.
Why?
It doesn't look good.
It doesn't.
And, if it's for ego, you have it.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Nobody's
But
going to spend $60,000 on ego, believe me. It's the corruption. Let's be honest, it's the corruption.
I can now agree with that there's corruption in our electoral process. That it was proven in the court of law with the police officers that moved away. So now I know that there's corruption.
Yeah.
In fact, you know what I did this past season? Right after I saw that there's a law, I went to the elections office and I said, remove me from the electoral voting list. Oh, we can't do that. Here's the law. Remove me. If you don't want it, I'll send it up to the Attorney General. Remove me from that. They came out and talked to me and I go, what just happened last week with the police going over there? I want nothing to do with any election. Period. I don't want to be part of that because you're telling me that my vote doesn't matter. So forget about it. So I moved out of that and I left it up. And they sent me a letter and they said, we can take you to district court for you to vote again. Please do, because they're also part of this. So people out there, your vote doesn't matter. Period. Understand that. And once you realize that your vote doesn't matter, then you're going to think lightly and start understanding the electoral process. Because here in Laredo, your vote does not matter. And a better process that we can do is take 100, 200 people, 300 people who walk into the elections office, remove my name from the list. Then the governor, then the FBI, what are they doing over there in Laredo? They're going to come over here and they're going to investigate what's going on with the election process. That's the only way we're going to get that. That's a bigger protest than anything else.
You know, it was really disappointing what happened. And you know, it wasn't a court of law.
You know what?
So,
you like
it's, yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, we can't cede to this. We can't bend over to this. In my opinion, is that we have to continue to roll and you know, come out and vote strong and, you know, make a change, because that's the only tool that we actually have to make a change. There's no other way that we're going to be able to make a change.
Listen, there's always the same 25, 30,000 people vote. All the time. Same ones.
They don't fix the computer properly.
You know what I'm saying? Same people. In some elections.
So,
they don't fix the
you know,
good question. What happened with the cops, right? Do you think they rigged the election or not? It'd be possible, right?
I don't know if they rigged the election, but they just told me that that's voter fraud. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that means that's,
I guess what he's asking, and this is the way I
you know,
understand it.
the machines to change it.
No,
That's
I don't know.
well,
I think he's
Trump,
asking-
I think, proved that they were rigged.
Well,
I think,
he's
I don't
asking
know.
is that in this situation, here in Laredo, you
Yeah.
think it's the only one.
No.
Or is the only one that got caught?
That's the only one that got caught.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's the only one that got caught.
Yeah.
Now we have to go back to all the other ones and start looking where all these people started moving. Understand what I'm saying?
And, you know,
I mean, when you get people that you don't even live in the area get winning winning for write-ins and stuff like that, you're like, what? I mean, there's a lot of money going on there. There's a lot of money being paid for these elections that, you know, got people in City Hall, I don't know what they're getting paid now, $65,000 a year. And they're spending $400,000 or $500,000 on a thing that's going to pay you $60,000, $70,000, $70,000. What? $280 you're going to get for your term, and you're spending $450,000.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Is it ego, or is there something that we're missing?
This is something.
Corruption. Let's call
You
it
know,
what it
you know,
is.
you know what I'm saying? I can't prove the corruption, so I'm just going to say that these guys have inflamed egos. Understand what I'm saying?
I agree.
So we'll take it from there, and I want to thank you guys for doing what you guys do. Keep doing it. Let's keep moving it forward, and let's see which way we can take it. And folks out there, be safe with your kids. You know, United, we have some great teachers out there, but get involved with the kids' life, especially in the schools.
Yeah.
We got problems.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No, it was good meeting you, and hopefully it's
Anytime,
not the last time
anytime.
we'll have a
No,
conversation.
anytime. And we'll continue because there's a lot of issues that we have to fix. And I think I'm going to run Chappie for mayor. Yeah. And no, seriously, I'm going to make him, you're going to see. Until next time, thanks.
Thanks.
All right, chaps. Next time, be safe.